this? We've already got a project car. What have you done?
Bought another one. We're almost done with that one. It's only, you know, well,
You
kind of
had to
almost
get
done.
another one. Well, at least this one's a Mustang. I like it.
She's a rare car. That's kind of why we bought it. There's not very many of these that were made, and in this kind of situation where we're basically going to start on the show building cars and putting those cars up for sale. So people that watch the show have a chance to actually own one of these cars.
Wow, that's amazing. Is this one in better shape than the other one?
Define better shape.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, you can pull on it.
Another rust bucket. Great.
Oh, no, you didn't. We got more rust bucket. Follow me.
Uh-oh. Why
I'll show
am
you
I
a rust
worried?
bucket.
Why am I worried?
No.
Holy cow.
This is number 2 now.
Is this an old Belair?
It's an old 57 Belair.
Oh my gosh, she's beautiful.
She's got some surface rust. We had to get some rust, you know, rust rescue, you know.
It's not too bad though. I mean, this doesn't look like any of these panels have been compromised.
Nope. The only thing that we have to replace panel-wise is the floor pans. And on these cars, they're relatively flat. There's almost no hump in the middle. So this is going to be a breeze to do. The motor is new. It has to be brought back to spec. So this is actually a numbers matching car.
Wow.
This is an original motor. We have the original intake for it. Original seats are in it. We're going to reskin them because if you look at them, they're...
Oh, yeah, they look like they've been eaten by rats.
Pretty much. We have to put a headliner in it. We have to put some windows in it. One window is shattered. Actually, most of the glass is just done. And believe it or not,
that's not a big deal, though. That's actually pretty easy to do, as opposed to having to cut out, you know, half the car because it's rusted.
If you look at it, all the chrome is there, and all the chrome is intact, which is
yeah,
a
we
good
can
thing.
just polish this up, get a good paint job on it, and do the paint a little bit.
Exactly.
This car's going to be gorgeous.
Now we've got our new tech guy coming on, Lance. He's going to explain all the little features they had for these cars. You'd be amazed what these cars had back in the 50s.
Wow.
So
yeah, Lance is our new car nerd, so he's going to be able to tell us all about these new cars, as well as the car that we're currently working on. This is great, but what say we go back inside and actually work on the original project car and get that one done so that we have room to start work on these?
Yeah, let's go get that one.
Let's do that. We're back to our 72 Le Mans, and Vince, you've gotten a lot done since we were here last time. I know we finally finished the trunk, which was a huge project because this was all rust. And it looks like you have finally found these two pieces that, how long did you search for these?
Oh, we were searching for that about 3 months. I mean, it's, I wish somebody would have explained to me that what it was that I was looking for, because I was looking for the wrong pieces.
Well, what were you looking for, and what show have you been looking for?
When you take this off, this actually is called a filler pan.
Well, that makes sense because it kind of fills the space between. This is where your rear glass comes in, and it kind of holds that glass in and then creates a piece between that and the trunk.
Right, and that's the valley here is where the trunk gasket goes.
Okay.
But actually, this is not even part of the filler pan.
It's not?
That's what I thought too.
Okay.
When we took this off, I don't know if you remember, we had this up, it was completely rotted.
Yeah, there was nothing there.
No, I mean, it was, and from what I understand, that's normal for these cars, for all these old cars. So you would think somebody would know what you're looking for when you say it's under the filler pan. I was looking for the filler pan bottom, which there's no such thing.
Okay.
The pan piece that's underneath it is part of the speaker pan, which starts from the rear seat, goes across the speakers, has the piece for the windshield, goes up and about, and it goes around and becomes the channel for the rubber gasket on the trunk.
Okay, so this is just one big piece
Right.
that goes all the way from your back seat all the way through here, and then the filler piece kind of sits on top of it to kind of create, it's like a top and a bottom.
Exactly.
Okay.
And now, like the battery that we messed around with, this is not supposed to be for this car. They told me it wouldn't fit.
Looks like it fits to me.
Because you know people can't tell me that. So,
well, you know, if there's a big enough hammer, anything can fit. So what did you have to do to make this fit?
Well, this came out of a Chevelle.
Okay.
This is a part for a Chevelle. It was probably about 1/8 of an inch to a 1/2 inch too short. So the channel was sitting off, so you couldn't put a rubber in it.
Oh, okay.
So what I did was I cut the channel completely off of the end piece. I welded the channel in place first, then I put the speaker panel in, welded that in place, and then in the filler part where actually we cut it and it's separated,
right,
I welded in some metal. I just made it longer.
Okay, so you just basically cut it and extended it a little bit.
So
that works. Was there not a piece specifically made for this car?
No, they don't make one for this particular car. You would think they would with all the problems these cars have, but nobody seems to have that.
So, sometimes you just have to make stuff work.
Well, I always tell people when they tell you it can't be done, or it doesn't fit, look at it real good. If it's the same shape and it's short or it's long, just basically cut it and either make it longer or make it shorter.
Hey, why not? If you've got a welder, a blowtorch, and a big hammer, you can pretty much do anything.
Perfect example. But
okay.
yeah,
well, this looks really good.
Yeah, it's almost done. I have to do the final welds on it. It's actually in with vice grips right now.
Okay.
We still have to make it a little squarer. It's still a little off, but it's just a little bit of tweaking and hammering and banging and that kind of stuff. Once we get all that done, then I can start sanding the inside, because we did get also the left side floor pan in.
Great.
So that's all done. I found a few little holes here and there, so I'm just going to cut some pieces. Yeah, And
there were a lot of holes when this car first started out and came into this garage. So if we just have a few holes left, we're ahead of the game.
This car was one big hole when it came in here. But anyway, now once we get all that done, I'm going to prime the whole inside, prime the outside. We'll get most of the rust spots and rot spots done, and then we'll move to the front of the car, which is my nightmare. That's the cowl that has to be changed, and a bunch of stuff, actually. We'll go over that on other shows, because that's a lot of work.
Okay, sounds good. Well, let's see what we can finish up on this, and then I know that we've got to get a battery installed in this thing so we can see if she cranks up.
Well, we got to put the starter in. We got to put the wires in first.
Details.
Well,
We got to give the car electricity, but we've made some good progress here, and the point is, on a lot of these cars, we're not trying to restore these to being perfect and show quality. Just something that you can do at home and have a car that's fun to take to your local show on the weekends. So again, it doesn't have to be perfect, and sometimes you kind of got to make it up as you go along. And that's what we do here. So
I'm good at that.
Let's do the next part.
Okay. We've got a new tech coming on board, Mr. Lance Glass. What Lance is going to be doing for us is he's going to be researching a lot of these cars and telling you a lot of the features they had, telling you a lot about the original look of the car, the original equipment that came with the car. Good thing is, if you guys have any questions, we're going to put a website and a email address on the bottom later on, and you'll be able to email them directly and find out about that. How you doing, Mr. Lance?
Doing well. Glad to be here.
Yeah, we're gonna get you dirty too. Besides, this is the clean part of your job. Let's start with the LeMans GTO here.
Well, what's interesting about the GTO is they originally started in 1964, and what's really cool is that John DeLorean, the inventor of the DMC-12, was actually chief engineer on the GTO when it started. And what's really cool, I just really like this fact, is that the GTO actually violated GM's corporate policy that A-bodies could not go over 330 cubic inch displacement. So how they did, get this bigger motor in there, it started with the LeMans, and they added the GTO package to get a 389 in there. It was a little loophole around the system. And actually for this year, it was a $350 option on top of the LeMans to get to the GTO package.
Yeah, this one's got a lot of surprises we keep finding, so we're going to have you research this one a little bit more down the road.
Oh, yeah.
Now, we've got two new projects. I know you've done a little bit of your homework on that. I guess the first one we'll go with, it's
57.
a 1957 Belair, Chevy Belair. It's a little bit rusty, a little bit rough for most people, but of course this is Rust Rescue. So.
It's kind of what we do.
I know they had a lot of options, a lot of things that you could get with that car, a lot of ways you can build it. Tell us a couple of those.
Well, the really cool thing about the 57 Chevy is that they came with just numerous options. And one of the things I found that was really interesting about it is because they were so concerned with the styling of the 57, they wouldn't sacrifice anything to obstruct that. The roof line on 57 is really long, so what would happen is you go up to a stoplight and you couldn't see a light, you had to lean forward. So what did they do? They weren't going to obstruct the styling. They created the stoplight indicator, which in essence is just a piece of plastic, but it's a little piece of plastic that stuck up like this, so when the light came down, turned this little indicator different colors so you can tell what the light was.
So basically it was the first heads-up display.
Correct.
Without
but
electronics.
It's just so neat that they said, no, we're not obstructing our styling. We're going to keep this the way we want it. We're going to find ways around it. That right there is why I think is really cool about the 57 Chevy. Now, it came in 3 different options. It came in the 150, the 210, and ours, which is the Belair. And what's really cool about the 1957 Chevrolet is that there's the first year for fuel injection. They made around 375 horse with the fuel injection, but the issue with the fuel injection is that most mechanics couldn't keep them running. So a lot of people opted for carburetors. But if you want to talk carburetors, what I thought was really cool, and I didn't know this too until I did my research, is that you can actually order 2 4-barrels on the 57 Chevy, which is rare. There are 2 400 CFMs, and at the total, I think it made 370 horse. I'm sorry, not 370, 270 horse.
270, yeah.
Got excited there. But 270 horse, but at the time, that was a big deal to have 270 horse. I mean, nowadays we don't look at it as much, but that's all carburation. There's no computers, it's all mechanical. So I think that's really cool about the 57 Chevy.
Yeah, that one is, it's got a lot of work we need to do. The interiors have got to be redone. We've got to put floorboards in, but the body's not really rotted through anywhere. The trunk isn't rotted through anywhere, and we actually have the original motor that goes in that car. That's a numbers matching car.
Okay.
Original intake. There's a racing intake. I say racing, but it's a Edelbrock intake on there now.
Performance intake. There you go.
But I have the original one, so we're going to be putting that back on it. Okay. Next project is the 71 Mach 1.
71 Mach 1.
We have a lot of Mustang people that watch the show, so let's hear a little bit about the Mach 1.
So the 71 Mach 1 had a few different engine types. So you had the 302, the 351, and the 429. Now within that, the 351 had the Cobra Jet, and the 429 had the Cobra Jet and the Super Cobra Jet, which was a top notch, made around 360 horse, rated for the insurance companies. So in all reality, it probably made it well over 400. But to get around some insurance flaws, they downplayed them. Now ours had the 351 2-barrel in it, and it's a numbers matching car. Now what's really cool about the Mach 1s in that year is people always say, why are they so big? They're just so much bigger than the old Mustangs. Well, Ford had a dilemma in the late 60s. They wanted to put these big motors in these cars. They couldn't fit them in between the fenders. So what they do, they made the next model bigger and wider so they can do that. Issue is the government came in with restrictions, gas prices, insurance companies really put a halt to everything, which was a big downfall. But at the same time, I think it's really cool that Ford is looking forward and saying, let's make these a little bit bigger so we can fit monsters under the hood.
Well, didn't they have they had 2 different 351s. I think they had a Cleveland and a Windsor.
In that year, I believe they had the 351 Cleveland. The Mach 1 came with a 351 Cleveland and the Cleveland Cobra Jet. The Windsor was available, I believe, on a basic Mustang. The Mach 1 did not have the Windsor.
That from what everybody says, that's really not a good motor, the Windsor.
There's a lot of differences between the Windsor and the Cleveland, and that's something I need to do more research about. But the Cleveland's the one that you want. If you have the choice, Cleveland all day long.
Well, we've got the right motor in this car because, like you said, it's a numbers matching car. This one's a little rougher.
Yeah.
It needs floor pans as well as trunk pan, which we've already got. We went down to Harris Mustang and picked those up. Basically, the motor, we're not sure yet. Looks to me like the motor is free, but stuck at the same time. So either we have a starter plunger stuck in it, which we'll mess with that and see. But first thing we're going to do, we're going to get this the GTO running. We'll get this back to the point where we can get it down to a paint shop, let them do that. Then we'll bring in, I believe we'll do the Mustang first. Let's get that one going, and I was hoping to get that one down to Mustang week, but that's not happening. But I mean, we're gonna be doing a lot of work on these cars. if you guys have any questions on your cars or anything that you may be buying, if you want to ask some questions basically ahead of time to Lance, just go to the email address that you see below, and we'll basically get the message to him, and he'll do his best to find the answers for what you want. Hang on, guys. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors.
Well, welcome back to Rust Rescue, and we are coming back to our primary project car. We've got the engine all put back together. We're about ready to crank this baby up, but first we need some electricity. So we're going to be installing the battery for the car, and of course Odyssey Battery are our favorite batteries. This is the Extreme Series battery. What we love about Odyssey is, you know, most batteries either have really good cranking power or really good cycling power, not both. Well, I don't want to have to choose between those two things. Why can't you have your cake and eat it too? Well, with Odyssey you can. It gives you both of these things so that when you're out with your project car at your local car show, you can run everything off the battery. You can have your lights on, you can have all your little displays, you can have the radio playing all day long, but at the end of the day, when you come home, baby will crank right up. That's why we love our Odyssey batteries. They make everything from batteries for your regular cars to your race cars, ATVs, boats, fire engines.
Even forklifts.
Forklifts?
Well, not really.
They make a battery for a forklift?
No, we did.
What did you do?
We took two of the truck batteries, still 12 volt, and kind of wired them together and put them in place of a forklift battery that's probably the size of that motor. It runs fine. I mean, you won't be able to run it all day at like a warehouse, but it runs.
So this sounds like something that people probably should not try at home.
Oh,
I doubt
no.
Odyssey actually condones this, but hey, since when have we ever done what we're supposed to do? So
Yeah, it was more of a kind of a test we tried just to see if it would work. I mean, I had hair when it started, and we fried ourselves a few times. But anyway.
Hey, you know, that's okay. It proves that Odyssey batteries can do just about anything. So why don't we kind of forget about the forklift for a minute and just install this battery here in our car so that we can then get the electricity flowing to the starter, and we'll see if this baby cranks up.
Should be fine.
All right, let's do it. You're carrying that. That thing is heavy.
Yeah, this thing is, I'm afraid this handle's not going to hold, but all right. All right. This is where we're installing it, by the way.
Okay, that's not installing it. That is sitting it on a rolling chair and hooking it up.
Same thing.
Okay, well, it makes sense because we don't have the frame of the car to actually install it permanently. We just need to see if we can get the engine to start up. So.
The battery itself goes on the radiator support.
Right.
So
which
that's another
we don't
segment.
have the whole thing of
Okay,
here.
let's make sure everything is where it should be.
Okay, we got the positive on the positive. We got the negative on the negative.
Yes. I've made that mistake.
Always
before.
double check that.
Okay, watch yourself on this so it doesn't shoot out. And let's primer. All right, let's get her.
Come on, baby. Come on. Yes! Oh, maybe not.
Let's do that again.
Prime it a little more.
She's dry.
There we go. It's alive.
Sounds good.
It does.
All right.
All right, turn it off.
Yeah, we don't want to overheat the motor. There's no cooling system in it.
Right.
All right, so
Awesome.
we got that much done.
We
Now,
did.
I just got to finish that little bit of rust on the front here and get this
Yeah,
all back
the
together.
small amount of rust that we have here on the front.
Yeah, that's the one I'm worried about. Let's go see what Lance is doing. He's out there messing with the Mach 1.
Oh, he's got the new car out there.
Yeah, we're having fun with that one as well. Let's go around this way.
All right, let's go find out what he's doing because I don't trust him by himself.
No, he doesn't do that, you know. All right. Hey, Mr. Lance, how you making out?
Well, the good news is it does turn. It only turns a 3/4 of the way.
Oh, all right.
Oh, nice.
So we got a bit of a problem.
So it'll only go what, three quarters, and it stops, or
Just
is it?
locks up right 3/4. You can turn it back, and then it stops there too.
You know what we got?
We got a broken rod.
Yep.
That's not that uncommon when you're grabbing cars out of junkyards and things that have been left out in the field to rust. You know, we got pretty lucky with the body on this car, so I guess it makes sense that we have a problem with the engine.
Well, what I'm thinking we'll do, there's two ways to do this. We can pull the motor and rebuild it, which we're probably going to have to do anyway. But to make sure, let's pull, you and I will do it, we'll pull the heads off, we'll pull the intake off, then we'll spin the motor again. The piston that doesn't move, that's the broken rod.
That's our culprit.
And then we'll just hook a chain up with it, yank it out, and ready to go.
It's always a good idea to test these things before you go through the, 8 hours of labor time to pull the entire motor out. You can test it simply by pulling the heads and the intake off and seeing what we got. So I like that approach better.
Being visual. Because see, if you pull your valve covers off, even though there's a broken rod, the valves may still move because of the timing chain.
Right.
So that's not going to tell you anything. A lot of guys say, well, why don't they just do that?
Not gonna find it.
Yeah, it's all right. I wanted to rebuild this motor anyway because if one of our viewers is going to wind up with this car, it's got to be perfect.
Absolutely.
So,
well, let's tear into there and see what we got and figure out which rod is
tear
broken.
another motor. Look, he's laughing.
I didn't get another one to build.
We just got done putting his 400 back together.
All right, well,
that was an interesting 7 months.
Yeah, it fought us every way it could, but it's running now. It's a good point.
We'll have you guys take a look at that car as soon as it's back on the road, which should be about a week.
Just about.
Yeah,
I took it for a 2-mile drive yesterday, so it's moving.
All right, let's go grab some tools and get going.
Grab the tools.
All right, Lance, this motor's pretty much ready to go. We just got to get the fenders on this and the radiators for stuff like that. Where did Leanne go, by the way? We kind of need her here.
Hey guys. Hey, if you want to keep up with everything we're doing on these builds, see some more of our how-to videos, or just check out our usual nonsense, you can like us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel below.
If you have any tech questions, feel free to reach out to me at the email below as well.
Okay, guys, we'll see you next week on Rust Rescue.
Bye.